The padded envelope had no return address. Janet tore it open, her hands unsteady. Inside was a USB drive and a note. "Your father deserves the truth. I deserved my brother. D."
Donald, my mother said he was unwell, and then he just disappeared 10 years ago.
She plugged the drive into her laptop. A folder opened, perfectly sorted. Doorbell clips 2019 to 2022. She clicked a file at random. The video was grainy, but the timestamp was clear. A man in a suit walked through her parents' front door. Her mother pulled him into an embrace.
I don't know this man, and Dad was on a flight that day.
She cross-referenced her father's flight schedule. He'd been in Chicago that day. She clicked another file. Another man. Then a third. Each clip showed the same pattern.
3 men, 3 years. Mom was never alone while Dad was away. She was entertaining.
The clips kept coming. She scrolled and fast-forwarded. The same 3 men appearing again and again.
They only came on days Dad was flying. How did Mom always know his schedule?
She cross-referenced the dates with her father's flight history. Every visit lined up perfectly with his trips.
Every time he left, she brought them in. This wasn't a mistake. This was a routine.
She watched until well past midnight, her coffee long cold, her eyes burning.
I can hear her voice at every Thanksgiving. Family is everything, Janet. Everything. Was any of it real? The family dinners, the hugs, the photos on the mantel.
She pushed back from the desk and paced, chest tight, the room closing in.
Uncle Donald knew. He's been watching for years. And he sent this to me, not Dad.
3 years of betrayal sat on her screen, but Donald's motives remained a mystery she'd have to unravel. By morning, the grainy freeze frames were open on her laptop, each face burned into her memory. She searched local church directories. The first man was Mark, a deacon her father had mentored.
Dad's Sunday morning coffee buddy. He'd been in our house while Dad was in the air.
The second man, Tom, appeared in a contractor's license photo, the same man who'd renovated their kitchen.
Mom hired him for a bathroom tile repair that never seemed to end.
Peter. The third smiled from a book club group shot on Cynthia's own social media page.
These aren't strangers. They're family friends. People Dad trusted. He'd have welcomed them in.
She grabbed her phone and dialed her mother, then killed the call before the first ring.
What would I even say? She'd twist it. Deny everything. Make me the villain.
The only person who could explain why he'd sent this was the uncle she barely knew, silenced a decade ago.
Mom cut him off when I was 18. Said he was unwell, that he'd made trouble. I never questioned it.
She scrolled through old emails and property records until she found a rural address 2 hours north.
He's been living out there, alone, while we pretended he didn't exist.
She locked the footage away on a backup drive and scribbled a quick plan. Drive to Donald's, get answers, tell Dad only when she understood.
Dad can't know yet. Not until I understand what Donald's motives really are.
She grabbed her keys, left the USB on the desk, and walked out into the cold morning light. The first half hour was silence. Just the hum of the car and the thud of unanswered questions in her chest.
What if he's bitter? What if this is just revenge against Mom, and I am nothing but a pawn?
Mile after mile, the city faded into farmland, and her resolve hardened with every exit sign she passed.
I have to know. For Dad. For whatever family we might still salvage.
She remembered the way Donald used to sneak her extra dessert at family dinners, winking across the table before Cynthia noticed. The memories faded as the GPS announced her final turn onto a quiet street lined with bare oaks. She parked and sat for a moment, the engine ticking down. The note from Donald was still folded in her jacket pocket. She knocked, the door opened slowly, and there stood Donald, thinner than she remembered, with a tremor in his hands.
Janet?
I got your package.
She held up the USB. He didn't flinch, just studied it like something dangerous. The house smelled of old books and tea. He led her to a worn armchair without a word.
You watched all of it?
Enough to know I need the full story. Why did you do this?
I started noticing things years ago. A car in the driveway when Ron was out of town.
He described the day he confronted Cynthia, the cold fury in her eyes, before she twisted the story.
She told Ronald I had threatened her, that I was unstable. He believed her. For a decade, I watched from afar, waiting until you were strong enough to bear this.
He pulled a worn notebook from the side table, pages dense with dates, names, and check marks.
3 years, 112 visits. I logged them all.
You've been doing this alone all this time?
My heart condition will only get worse. I couldn't die without giving Ron the truth.
He's not a troublemaker. He's the only one who tried to protect Dad.
She took the notebook. Then, the weight of it in her hands heavier than any USB drive.
Mark from church, Tom the contractor, Peter from her book club. Every one of them had a reason to be at the house.
She chose men who could explain a visit. A deacon, a repairman, a friend's husband.
112 visits, 3 years of calculated betrayal, stored in a battered notebook.
And you've held this alone, with no one to help, even when it was killing you.
Cynthia poisoned Ron against me. I needed someone she hadn't gotten to.
He waited until I could handle it. Until I could be Dad's shield.
He warned her then Cynthia would fight back, destroy anyone threatening her facade.
She will make you the villain, Janet. Just like she did to me.
I am not backing down. I'll wait until his next leave and show him in person.
The notebook joined the USB in her bag. She had a plan now and a heavy truth. The drive home was a blur. Janet barely remembered the miles, only the resolve settling in her chest.
Hi, Mom. Just wanted to hear your voice. Anything new?
Oh, the usual, sweetheart. Your father's back Thursday. We'll have a lovely dinner.
The practiced cadence of her mother's voice made Janet's stomach clench. It was all performance. After the call, she found a clip from 2019, the same day she'd come home from college for spring break. Tom walked through the front door that afternoon, while Janet was upstairs unpacking.
She had him over while I was in the house. I was just a kid, and she didn't care.
She slammed the laptop shut, then opened it again, jaw set. She would not look away now.
Every family memory has a shadow now, but I'll use that shadow to protect Dad.
Thursday felt far away, but she would wait. She'd give him 3 more days of peace before the world broke. She selected 3 clips, one for each man, each with a clear time stamp during Ronald's flights.
These are undeniable. A deacon, a contractor, a book club husband, all on his workdays.
She called Donald. His voice was tired but steady when she told him the plan.
Good. Make sure he knows I'll be here when he's ready.
He warned her again about Cynthia's cruelty, but Janet already knew the stakes.
She'll try to ruin Dad's reputation, but the footage and the notebook will stop her.
She packed her laptop, the USB, and Donald's battered notebook, then checked Ronald's flight schedule one more time, tracing the flight path with her finger.
He lands at 2. I'll be waiting at his apartment by 3.
The hours crawled. She sat by the window, a cold cup of coffee in her hands, rehearsing the words she couldn't yet find, the ones that would shatter her father. When the doorbell finally rang, she stood slowly, knowing the life they'd known was over. She opened the door to find her father smiling, pilot's cap tucked under his arm, the fatigue of a long flight softened by the sight of her.
There's my girl. You look tense. Everything okay?
Long week. Come in. I made coffee. He has no idea. In 5 minutes, everything he believes about his marriage will be ashes.
She led him to the living room, the laptop already open on the coffee table, the screen dark.
How's your mother? She said you called. Haven't spoken in a while.
She felt her phone buzz. Donald's message, be gentle. He's going to need you.
I wish I didn't have to do this, but he deserves the truth.
She looked at her father, at his trusting eyes, and reached for the laptop.
Dad, sit down. I need to show you something. It's not easy.
She played the first clip. Mark, the deacon, walking into her parents' home on a day Ronald was captaining a flight to Seattle.
He's not saying a word. His hand just stopped mid-air on the way to his coffee.
Then the second, the contractor, Tom, his van in the driveway on a Tuesday morning when Ronald was in Miami. Finally, the third, Peter from book club, arriving with a bottle of wine as if he belonged there. She stopped the playback, the living room filled with an awful, pressing silence that crushed the air from the room.
How long?
3 years. Over 100 visits. Uncle Donald kept records. He sent me the footage.
He nodded once, a small, mechanical movement, and thanked her in a voice scraped hollow, as if the word had to travel through gravel.
Thank you, Janet.
He didn't move, didn't rage, didn't even blink, just stared into the dark screen, like it was a future he'd never planned for. After a long silence, he asked the question she'd been dreading. And my brother, Donald? How does he fit into this?
He sent me the footage. This note came with it.
Ronald unfolded the typewritten paper, his hands trembling as he read the words.
Your father deserves the truth. I deserved my brother. I should have listened to him.
He's seeing it now. She didn't just cheat. She stole his brother, too.
I am filing for divorce. This marriage died the day I believed her lies.
He asked for the USB and the notebook. She handed them over without hesitation.
I'll handle this. You've done enough. More than anyone should have to.
He stood, clutching the evidence like a lifeline, and walked out of her apartment. She watched him go, knowing the war had just begun, but her father finally had the truth. Within 48 hours, Ronald filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The footage was held in reserve, an insurance policy he prayed he wouldn't need. Cynthia was served at the house the next morning, the envelope trembling in her hand as she read the grounds. Janet's phone lit up an hour later. She answered, bracing for the storm.
How could you destroy this family? After everything I've done for you.
You know what you did. 3 men, 3 years, while Dad was in the air.
Those were friends. You've always been dramatic. Your uncle poisoned you against me.
A quick breath, then dead air. Cynthia had hung up, realizing for the first time that denial would not save her.
She's terrified. Good. For once, the truth has teeth.
By the end of the week, lawyers were involved. Ronald sat stone-faced as his attorney outlined the strategy, the DVD of footage sealed as evidence.
I want this done cleanly. No mudslinging. Just the truth in front of a judge if it comes to that.
Over the next month, Cynthia's attorney painted the footage as a breach of privacy. The men were just old friends, and Ronald's schedule was coincidental.
They can call it whatever they want. The truth doesn't change.
Dad's tired, but he hasn't wavered once. I am the one afraid he'll want to spare her.
Cynthia's legal team proposed a settlement. She'd get the house and half the pension if Ronald agreed to seal the footage.
Not a chance. She doesn't get to bury this. Not after what she did to my family.
He's ready. I can see it in his eyes. No more bending.
Ronald's attorney officially submitted the compiled footage and Donald's logs as evidence. A digital mountain Cynthia could not explain away. The court date was set. Both sides braced for a fight where reputations would be ground to dust.
She's going to try something desperate. I can feel it coming.
But deep in the filing cabinets of Cynthia's legal team, a more dangerous document was taking shape, one that would prove Donald's warning had been chillingly accurate. Janet's testimony was steady. She described the envelope, the USB, and the weeks of painstaking review. The judge granted a temporary order preserving the evidence, but the real bombshell came during Cynthia's deposition. Her attorney, attempting to demonstrate transparency, handed over a stack of correspondence. Amidst the papers was a draft memo Cynthia had never intended to be seen. The memo outlined a plan to fabricate domestic abuse allegations against Ronald, complete with a timeline and coach testimony. The room went silent. Cynthia's face drained of color. Her attorney visibly paled, realizing the catastrophic error.
Is this what she was planning? To destroy me?
Donald's warning wasn't paranoia. She was ready to burn everything down to win.
Ronald's attorney immediately requested the memo be entered as evidence. The deposition ended in chaos. Within hours, the abuse claim plot was exposed in court filings. Cynthia's legal strategy lay in ruins. Justice had been blind, but now it could see a fabricated accusation, foiled by the very footage Donald had archived. Cynthia's attorney, facing sanctions for the abuse claim memo, advised her to settle immediately. She had no leverage left. The settlement terms were stark: no alimony, no claim on the house or pension, and a sealed record, but the footage would remain in Ronald's possession.
She tried to take everything, including my freedom. I just want this over.
He signed the final decree with a steady hand, the stroke of a pen ending 33 years of a lie.
He lost a wife, but he kept his name, his home, his pension, and his brother. All because of a doorbell camera.
Thank you for not letting me drown in her lies, Janny. I owe you everything.
You don't owe me. Just promise me you'll call Donald. He never stopped fighting for you.
He nodded, silent. The footage that had nearly destroyed him had, in the end, set him free and prevented a far greater injustice.
Donald's patience gave us this moment. Now it's Dad's turn to rebuild.
But peace, like truth, is never free. It is bought with pain, and it still carried the bitter taste of what was lost. Months passed. Ronald moved into a small apartment, learning to live without the weight of lies. Janet made the drive again, not out of need, but quiet gratitude she had never been able to express.
You didn't have to come all this way.
I wanted you to know. Without you, Dad might have lost everything.
He's my brother. I never stopped hoping he'd see the truth.
It's like a wound finally being allowed to heal.
Over tea, Donald admitted he'd kept the cloud access out of duty. Every clip was a prayer someone would listen.
You never wanted to hurt him, even when he cast you out. That's a rare kind of love.
They talked until dusk. As Janet prepared to leave, Donald pressed a small wrapped box into her hands.
For Christmas, if he's ready.
Janet drove home with the small gift on the passenger seat, Donald's quiet hope echoing in her mind.
Dad, I want to do something this year. Just the three of us. You, me, and Uncle Donald.
Donald. I haven't spoken to him in 11 years.
You deserve to have him back. He sent me that footage because he never gave up on you.
I am not sure I can face him. I believed Cynthia's lies. I cut him out.
That's exactly why you need to call. He's waiting. He's still waiting.
A long pause, then a quiet, okay. The word hung between them like a fragile truce.
Good. I'll cook. You just bring yourself.
She hung up and immediately began decorating her small apartment, threading lights with deliberate hope.
It won't fix everything overnight, but it's a start. It has to be.
Christmas Day arrived cold and bright. Donald was the first to knock, a small wrapped box trembling in his hand.
I barely slept. Does this tie look all right?
You look perfect. He's going to be so happy to see you. Come in.
They waited in the living room, the tree lights flickering. The silence was heavy with 11 years of unsaid words. Then the doorbell rang. Donald stood, hands clasped. Janet opened the door to a pale Ronald, clutching a bottle of wine.
Donnie.
Ronnie.
No other words. They simply fell into each other's arms, the wine bottle forgotten on the floor. Janet led them to the kitchen table, 3 cups of coffee waiting. They sat, no one speaking, and it was enough. Outside, the snow began to fall softly, and inside, a brotherhood long broken, finally mended over silence. The silence between them held more weight than any speech ever could. Donald's hand trembled slightly as he lifted his mug, not from age, but from years of waiting for this exact moment.
He's been holding on to this hope for a decade.
Ronald watched his brother's hand shake, then raised his own mug, a silent offering of everything he couldn't say. Their mugs met in the air, a clink so quiet it was almost missed, a toast to a brotherhood reclaimed. 3 cups of coffee, 3 people who had walked through fire. No one needed to speak. Somewhere in a drawer, the USB drive sat forgotten, a dark chapter closed, its purpose served.
That footage could have destroyed us. Instead, it brought us here.
Ronald's lips curved into a small, hesitant smile, the first genuine one in months. In the stillness, the truth no longer needed cameras. It was written on their faces. Later that evening, Janet sat alone on her porch, the old USB drive resting in her palm.
This tiny piece of plastic held 3 years of betrayal. It also held the truth that set my father free.
She turned it over, feeling the weight of everything it had triggered. Then she opened a small wooden box she'd kept since childhood, the kind meant for memories, not evidence. She placed the USB inside, beside an old airline pin of her father's and a photo of her uncle, miles away. The doorbell camera at her parents' old house still faced the street, silent now, its secret given.
Donald guarded that footage like a promise, and the promise was kept.
She didn't need to watch the footage again. The truth had done its work, and now it could rest. Tomorrow would bring new flights for Ronald, new questions of trust. But tonight, the family had peace. The evening deepened around her, and Janet let out a breath she hadn't known she'd been holding.
The footage almost destroyed us. Look at what it built instead.
The porch light buzzed overhead as the night wrapped around her like a familiar blanket.
Dad and Donald are rebuilding something I thought was gone.
She closed the wooden box, its contents now a silent testament to a brutal truth and a stubborn love. That USB drive would never be plugged in again.
A new kind of family. Then, not built on lies, but on truth.
She stood, stretched, and felt the quiet in her bones, not emptiness, but peace. One last look at the stars. Then she turned off the porch light and stepped inside. The weight of 3 years of footage had finally lifted, and in its place, a family had been restored.